topics covered in this lecture. In this video lecture, you'll learn about 5 important Excel functions. They are INT, mode, round, RAND, and RANDBETWEEN. In this video tutorial, we shall learn 5 more mathematical functions. The functions are INT, mode, round, RAND, and RANDBETWEEN. At first, let's work with the INT function. Here is the syntax of INT function. We just pass a number as the argument of the INT function. The INT function returns the integer portion of the number and the return value must be less than or equal to the argument number. Let's use the INT function on these numbers. I select this cell, input equal sign, type INT. INT function is in the list and selected. Press tab. The function is inserted into the formula. I select the cell on the left. Press return. You see the value is 210. The part after decimal point has been deducted. I copy the formula for other cells. You see, when I apply INT function on 2.98 number, the return value is 2. But when I apply INT function on minus 2.98 and minus 2.3, the return value is minus 3. The reason is you already know that the return value will be a round number and must be less than or equal to the argument number. If you expected that the return value should be minus 2, then you are wrong, as minus 2.3 and minus 2.98 are negative numbers. So the number minus 2 is greater than minus 2.3 and minus 2.98. Let's now discuss about the mod function. Here is the syntax of the mod function. The mod function takes 2 arguments. First one is a number. The second one is also a number, but it is known as divisor. Mod function returns the remainder after the number is divided by the divisor. Here are some examples of mod functions, and here are their results. 3 divided by 2 returns the remainder 1. The sign of the remainder depends on the sign of the divisor. Here the divisor is 2 and its sign is positive, so the remainder is 1. Minus 3 divided by 2 also produces remainder 1. The sign of remainder is positive as the divisor 2 has positive sign. The next one is 3 divided by minus 2. It produces remainder minus 1. The sign of the divisor is negative, so the remainder sign is minus 1. Same case here. Minus 3 divided by minus 2 produces remainder minus 1. The sign of the remainder is negative as the sign of the divisor is also negative. The next function is the round function. The syntax of the round function is here. It takes 2 arguments. First one is a number and the second one is num underscore digits. It is also a number. Both the arguments are required. Let's understand the function with some examples. In the first example, the number is 2.15. Num digits is 1. Num digits argument controls the number of decimal places after the decimal point. In this case, num digits is 1. So after the decimal point, there will be only 1 digit. So 0.15 becomes 2 after rounding. In the next example, the number is 2.149. Num digits is 1. Same case, after decimal point, there will be only 1 digit. So 0.149 becomes 1 after rounding. In the next example, the number is minus 1.475 and num digits is 2. So after decimal point, there will be 2 digits. 0.475 becomes 48 after rounding. If the argument num digits is negative, then the number will be rounded before the decimal point. In the next example, the number is 21.5 and num digits is minus 1. You see, the result is 20. How it becomes 20? To understand the concept clearly, imagine that 21 part is after the decimal point. Now make it round to 1 digit. What will be the result? Of course 2. Before decimal point, you cannot avoid 0. So the result is 20. In the next example, the number is 54.1 and num digits is minus 1. Same case, imagine 54 is placed after the decimal point and you have to round it to 1 digit. The result will be 5. Again, you cannot avoid 0 before decimal point, so the result is 50. In the next example, the number is 55.1 and num digits is minus 1. Same thing, imagine again, the number 55 is placed after the decimal point and you have to round it to 1 digit. The result should be 6 and again, you cannot avoid 0 before the decimal point, so the ultimate result is 60. If the num digits argument is 0, then the number is rounded to the nearest integer number. The nearest integer number of 55.5 is 56, So the result is 56. The next function is the RAND function. RAND function does not take any argument. RAND function returns a random number that is greater than or equal to 0 and less than 1. I have used 3 RAND functions in these 3 cells. When you do something in the worksheet and press return, the numbers change. Say I input 5 in this cell. If I press return now, the number in these cells will change. There is another way to change the numbers. Click on the Calculate Now command in the Formulas ribbon. You see, every time you click on the Calculate Now command, the numbers change. The next function is the RANDBETWEEN function. The syntax of the RANDBETWEEN function is here. The function takes 2 arguments, bottom and top. Look at the examples. In the first example, bottom number is 2 and top number is 10. So RANDBETWEEN function generates a random number between 2 and 10. The next example generates a random number between 100 and 200. The next example generates a num type error. Notice the function arguments, bottom number is greater than the top number. The rule is top number will be greater than the bottom number. So this formula generates an error. In the last example, I have used cell references rather than the absolute value. L7 is referring to number 85 and L8 is referring to number 150. So the formula generates a number that is between 85 and 150. In this video, I have just discussed the theory part of these functions. We'll solve real-life problems using these functions later. These are the key takeaways from this lecture. You will get the downloadable copy of it with the exercise files and also in the lecture resources window. This summary will help you to grab the overall discussion of the video, print it or use it in your own way. Summary of the lecture. In this lecture, you have learned about int, mode, round, RAND and RANDBETWEEN Excel functions.